In many countries, people are anxious and worried, and Singaporeans are concerned too. In fact, I would be worried if Singaporeans took the future lightly and blithely assumed that we could simply cruise along and all would be well. If you weren't worried, I would be worried. Because as a small and open country, we will inevitably be caught up by powerful external forces and geopolitical currents. Our diverse society makes us especially vulnerable to what happens around us, outside Singapore. But thankfully, compared to most other countries, we are not at all badly off. Still, we have to continue to focus on nation building and to make the most of our strengths. The world has changed, and we must come up with updated, creative responses. But some hard truths have not changed. And these imperatives will stay relevant in the years ahead. So let me highlight 3 of them to you. First imperative, social cohesion. What do I mean? Race, language, and religion. And these are the traditional fault lines in our society. We've made huge efforts to build a shared Singaporean identity, to live and work together harmoniously as a multiracial and multi-religious society based on meritocracy and equal opportunity. And we've made great progress in this. But we will always be subject to external forces that pull different segments of our population in different directions. We can't disavow our diverse ethnic roots and religious affinities. We want to keep them. Chinese Singaporeans have links with China, some way or other. Indian Singaporeans with their various ancestral homes in India. Malay Singaporeans with the rest of our region, and with the global Muslim Ummah, the community of Muslims worldwide. These are real, emotional, historical, cultural, deep ties. They can be vulnerabilities, yet we do not want to lose these rich cultural and historical heritages. We've inherited them from our forefathers, and they contribute much to our Singaporean identity, our sense of who we are in the world. Because we didn't just descend from Mars. We have history, long histories, proud histories, ancestors, heritages, traditions, many of which we want to keep for ourselves and pass on to our children and grandchildren. Therefore, for us, racial and religious harmony will always be a continuing work in progress. Never think that we have solved the problem and that we've left it behind. It will always be with us, and we also have to be conscious of other potential divisions in our society. Between the haves and the have-nots, the Singaporean-born and naturalized citizens, conservatives and liberals, current and future generations. All these differences can be exploited politically to pit Singaporeans one against another and divide and weaken us. Hence, we've got to continue to work hard to overcome social stresses and tensions, to enlarge our common space and strengthen our shared Singaporean identity. It's not a static identity. It grows, it evolves over time. We are not a specimen in the museum, like that 10 years ago, like that 20 years ago, like that 50 years from now. It will grow, it will evolve. The world changes, we adapt, we move forward. We have to guide that evolution as best we can, sensitively and thoughtfully. And that's why we moved on the Tudong issue and repealed Section 377A of the Penal Code. These were controversial and difficult issues, but I decided to tackle them and not to let them fester or to pass them along to my successors. So we prepared the ground carefully, worked out practical compromises and move to a more sustainable, long-term position while fostering mutual understanding and acceptance. Always when we're dealing with controversial issues, we accept that differences exist, but we will avoid accentuating them. Accept them, don't accentuate them. Instead, we foster compromise, strive to enlarge a common space, establish the broadest consensus possible. We'll always have fault lines to watch and mind, never forget. Whatever our differences, we are all Singaporeans, first and foremost. And only thus can we survive and thrive in a contested and fractured world.